I'm here in a very special place today, and it is the whole reason for this video and this whole road trip. You may have seen part one, part two. I went to Indiana, and it's because I picked up a friend who is also my co-pilot for this next couple of days. We're here in New York City at the famous Red Ball Garage. And why am I here? So, as you may know, there's a very famous race called the Cannonball Run. And not that long ago, with the advent of EVs, there are now record holders for electric cars. And I happen to know the last two record holders. So Kyle Connor has two records from Out of Spec Motoring. And Ryan from the Kilowatts, he holds the existing record of 42 hours and 17 minutes. He did it in a 21 Model S long range. And I wasn't so sure about exactly how efficient that was compared to the Model 3 long range. And that's what we're going to find out today. So the big question is, can the long-range Model 3 dethrone the mighty Model S long range? So this is going to be a big challenge, and there's a few reasons for that. Number one, the Model S long range can charge 200 miles of rated range in 15 minutes. This long-range Model 3 is the second fastest charging Tesla from a range perspective, and it can charge 175 miles of range in that same 15 minutes. So technically it charges slower, but there is one area that this car makes up for a little bit of a difference in charging speed, which is a very important piece of this, by the way. This car, the faster you go, this car is going to be more efficient. It's already more efficient from the get-go, but the faster you go, what you lose in efficiency by going faster is less of a hit on the Model 3 than it is on the Model S. So the big question is, can this car overcome, again, the mighty Tesla Model S long range? We're going to try to find out. So this has been in the works for a year at this point, and really the last 6 months has been when most of the real planning has begun for this. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I almost had my dream crushed when I unexpectedly saw Kyle Connor from Out of Spec make an attempt with the Lucid, which is an extremely capable EV and definitely made for runs just like this. Can charge way faster than any Tesla, has way more range, is very efficient, and it's much bigger than the Model 3 I'm in, but that car is deadly for races just like this. So I almost lost my opportunity to do this, and I basically accelerated when I was going to start to make this attempt to now. So in 2 weeks notice, we went ahead and pulled everything forward. So instead of waiting till the middle of summer to do this, we're going to do this now. It's the very first weekend of May, and we're hoping for some magic. So essentially there are two routes that you can take. You can take a northern route or you can take a southern route. So technically the northern route is quicker, and that is the route that we are going to be taking. It's about 2,830-ish miles total. And depending on the speeds that we average, we're going to stop 18 to 25-ish times to charge, but they'll be very quick charges. They're not going to be for an hour or anything like that. We'll be charging for 10 to 25 minutes in most cases. So I have done a number of simulations. I've done all the analysis, and I think I've got everything figured out, but you can only go so far when you're simulating things like this. The real world is where things come together. It's as they say in the Army, once the first bullet flies, plans go out the window. So that's what we're working on, and I'm going to introduce my co-pilot now. So this is my friend Pat. We kind of grew up together. We went to college together. He was the best man at my wedding, which is cool too. And as you can see right there and right here, we're both Purdue alum. Pat actually has never owned, I don't think you've ever driven an electric car either, correct?
No.
Until yesterday.
Yeah. That is correct.
So he drove two legs of our journey from Indiana to New York, and in that trip, that would have been your first time ever in an electric car, not just driving an electric car. So you kind of got a feel for how this is going to work in a sense, just not in a rushed fashion. What are you thinking about this?
I'm not worried about it. It's pretty simple, pretty intuitive. So
Yeah.
I know how to drive fast. That's all I'm worried about.
Yeah, it's all about, we'll be driving safely,
Yeah.
but at a quick pace, essentially. So we're not going to do anything super unsafe. We do have some countermeasures to make sure that we're being smart about this. I do not have a bunch of people that are going to meet me along the way to lead the way and clear the roads for me. All I have is Waze and I have a radar, and that is it. So we're relying on those heavily to make this a reality. Now, I do, however, have one friend, which some of you may know, that we're going to meet in California, who's going to lead us into the finish line sometime on Sunday. So the goal is beat 42 hours and 17 minutes. We're at 98%, and it is 9:30 here on a Friday in New York City, and we've just kind of been waiting for traffic to die down a little bit. You can see there's still too much of this, and until that is gone, we're not really gonna take off. So hopefully in the next hour or so we'll be able to take off. I was hoping to leave by about 9 o'clock, and we're a half hour past that. It's not quite ready for this. You don't want to start off on the wrong leg. So the plan was to hope for 9 o'clock, but be prepared to sit here as long as it took to ensure that traffic was right to get started on the right foot. So this has been a dream of mine for a long time, and I'm pretty excited that it's happening. And given the fact that I almost lost the opportunity to do this, I'm super thrilled to have the opportunity to try. So whether we do it or not, this is all on us to make it happen. And yeah, we're gonna give it everything that we've got. All right, so we had a bunch of traffic pop up as soon as we were ready to go. We've been sitting here for an hour now waiting for traffic to die down. We're getting close to where it was before, and on Waze it suggests that this traffic is already gone. So I think we're gonna go ahead and pull out here in a couple of minutes, probably at like 11:05 or something. But I'm getting ready to start the timer, get this thing going here in just a couple of minutes. Let's go. That was really bad. We got so screwed in New York City. We tried delaying, and then window would open, we'd miss it. We'd try again. We thought we had it. It just, man, we lost so much time with that traffic. I made up as much as I possibly could, safely anyways. And I think we're down, like, we're 20 minutes behind. So we still got some time to make up. I think we can make up that time. It just, we can't be having delays like this. And unfortunately, since we didn't take off around the time we wanted to, one of the things that I had factored in that I didn't remember was getting to Chicago at 7 a.m. or before. So now we're gonna get there probably a couple hours after that. So it will be Saturday. So hopefully it won't be awful. And we're not going through Chicago. We're really going through the south side of Chicago, kind of cutting over. So hopefully that's gonna work out okay for us. And so it's taking a little bit more than I had planned for, and the next charging stop is also a V2, but we should have a bunch of V3s thereafter. This is definitely going to be a minor setback, but I've got all our scheduling updated based on the time we left, so we will keep a very close eye on hit each state. All right, a little bit of an update for you. It is 5:30 in the morning. We have traveled 404 miles, and that is across, what is that, 6 hours and 20 minutes. So we're behind schedule. We pulled in 24 minutes behind our target, and so we have 254 miles to go, I think, to hit Indiana, and we'll see if we're making progress. We still have a ton of country to go, of course, but it's tough. It's really tough when you're behind, and not knowing why you're so far behind. Our charging is just taking way longer than projected, and it's, now it's up to 40 degrees, but it was down to 36. Charging's just been really slow, and this is the first V3 charger as well. I missed the last charging stop for an update, so apologize about that. But we are getting close to being done charging here, and when we are going to rip it to Girard, Ohio, and then there's one other stop after that in Ohio before we hit Indiana. So we gotta really figure out how to make up some time here safely anyways. So hopefully the next time I talk to you, I'm looking and feeling a lot better. All right, I'm feeling a little bit more encouraged. I've been running the numbers, doing the math. We've made some adjustments to the plan. Of course, that's how this is gonna work anyways, but we're charging here at our last stop in Ohio, and we are 77 miles away from Indiana. Now, to be on target, we need to be at the Indiana border at 8:20 a.m. We're not gonna quite make that, but I think we're making up time now. So what we're gonna do is charge for 15 or 20 minutes and go to the next charger. And that's just what we're gonna do. We're just gonna hop chargers instead of the simulation that we did. The charging is not correct. It's half the time of what it's actually taking to charge. So we're gonna have to basically stop way more and for shorter periods of time. So that's what we're doing now. We are almost done charging, but I'll show you what we're looking at. So we are here in Toledo, and if I pop it out here, so we're going to Howe, Indiana, and then I just added the next one, which is in Perry, pretty close to Gary. Yikes. And then we'll probably be able to go past Chicago and over in this direction. So about 100 miles between chargers is what we're doing at this point. So depending on speed, we can figure out how much charge we need. But right now it's still kind of cold. It's starting to warm up. It's 53, and that's kind of impacting our range for a number of reasons. So we're gonna let this finish up, and Pat's gonna take over the next leg because now it's my turn to get some sleep. So I may miss you on the next charger, so we'll find out. finally making up time. So that last leg was pretty good. I think we've kind of zeroed this in, charging about 50 to 60%, traveling 100 miles between superchargers, 75 to 100 miles, that's the sweet spot. So it looks like the next couple of stops, we're gonna be able to do that. And our plan seems to be working pretty well so far. We've kind of got it figured out how much we need to charge based on the number of miles and the speed we're trying to do. And I added a bunch of our stops coming up all the way into Nebraska, and later I'll add like Colorado after that. But instead of setting my destination, I'm setting each charger as my destination, and that seems to be working a lot better than what we were doing before. So basically roughly 100 miles between each of these chargers. Once we get into Lincoln, I don't remember Shelby also, but these are both V2 chargers, so there's not great options in this area. So we've got a lot of work to do there to figure out what's going to work best with V2 charging. So, but other than that, we've had a lot of V3s, and that works really great. Feeling pretty refreshed. I did get some sleep and felt pretty good. So now we're gonna try to keep making up some time and get right back on track to my preferred arrival time. So we'll see how it goes. Traffic's been reasonable to this point, so fingers crossed that that holds. So we're here in Iowa, largest truck stop in the world. Been here once before, but pretty big, pretty cool. But we just don't have time for that kind of stuff. So just go and use the facilities and get back to the car. We are still tracking all right. It's so hard to know exactly how things are going because there's so many different ways to look at how's the progress. Are we on track? Are we not on track? I think we're on track, and the closer we get, the clearer it'll be if we are or are not. This last couple of stretches, Chicago was, you can't really make up time in Chicago, let's be real. And then this last stretch from Illinois into Iowa, just people stuck in the left lane doing, 2 miles an hour over the speed limit. Like, just can't get around these people. So really hoping as we make our way towards Nebraska that traffic continues to dwindle. So I'm gonna go ahead and get back in the car. Should be finished charging here in a few minutes and get right back on the road. stopped since I updated you, so I might as well now. We're here at a supercharger in Nebraska. We have one more stop in Nebraska before we hit Colorado, and there's a couple of quick stops here, and then we'll drive through Denver, through the Rockies, and then down through Utah into Vegas and through California. So that's kind of the route. Now, the way that this thing factors, we still have 2 hours short of what this shows because we're still on Central Time at the moment. So this will go down 2 more hours. So it'll be 7:53 p.m. is what it says it thinks we will get there. Now, of course, we are working on cutting that time, but we are making progress, and we are definitely past the halfway point. We passed that a couple of stops ago. So we're gonna keep chugging along. Things are going really great. The car's doing fantastic. As you would expect, it's just a matter of getting some open road, and I'm hoping now that we are kind of getting into the evening time and it's Saturday night out here out west. Once we get through Denver, it should be pretty good, and once we get to Denver, we'll have a better idea of what all we need to do, I think. So we'll get you an update here in just a little bit. at the part of the trip where it is too close to call. Are we gonna make it? Are we not gonna make it? Any obstructions around that we should be aware of? Apparently there's like a gathering at this supercharger, so we're gonna wanna charge quickly and get out of here. Let's take a look because it could go one way or the other. It's that close. So looking here, we have 580 miles to go. And in that time, we have basically 7 hours to make it 580 miles. It is going to be so close, and it all hinges on how efficient these charging stops are, which they have not been at all this entire trip. And also how well this goes with traffic and things like that. So far, it's been pretty good. This morning was great. We got a couple more stops here in Utah, and then 2 in Nevada, and then our last stop in Barstow, California, which will bring us all the way to the hotel. Now, this is still mountain time, and this is factoring in different scenario on how we're driving. When I look at a better route planner, it shows 7 hours and 26 minutes, and I've got like 7 hours and 13 minutes to make it. So it is that close, and it all depends on how much time I can make up, because these charging stops, there's no way they're going to be any more efficient than they are right now. So I can't bank on charging, unfortunately. Charging has been a big issue this whole trip, and I don't know what the deal is, but I have yet to have a charging session that was the amount of time that I expected or that was listed, and that doesn't always happen. So, but this entire trip, it's super unfortunate that that's the case, because we need that extra energy to be able to make it under the right conditions. So what do you think? I think it's too close to call, and I'm so nervous about it because, you know, half of me is being super pessimistic and the other half of me is super optimistic. Pessimistic. Yeah. Yeah, and that's what, it's just, if it doesn't happen, it's gonna suck so bad. I've been wanting to do this forever, and as you know, the amount of work that went into this, the energy, everything to get this trip to where we're sitting at right now. It's been a long couple days.
Very long. I'm on the other side. I'm on the positive side there.
Oh, you're optimistic, not pessimistic.
I'm very. I was pointing at you. You're the pessimistic one.
Yeah. The problem is I'm
very confident that we have enough time to shave a few minutes and be good to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And like when we look at the simulator, we're like, there's like 30 minutes difference when you look at a better route planner versus what we're doing right now. And it's too hard to figure out what's going to happen. So
time will tell.
Yeah, but I do know one thing for sure. We need to finish this charging session up and get the heck out of here, like before breakfast is over. Well, here's the current situation. This probably just was the nail in the coffin for setting the record. There's no chance now. I've been sitting here for like 10 minutes waiting, and I don't have enough charge to get to the next one. And the other one locally has a pretty long wait as well. Looks like these guys might be pulling out, so I don't know. We'll get plugged in, charged, and do the best we can, but that's pretty much it for us.
Be able to go in. Cost $40.
And that's, well, that was quite a run. Pat is already at the airport, headed back home, and today I get to drive back home from this trip. It was not something I would recommend anybody try. There was not much that was fun about that. It was very stressful, and it was go, 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 go for 2 days straight. How did we do? Well, we ended up getting 45 hours and 12 minutes, which is not a new record. And unfortunately, something we didn't know is that all the people who go to Las Vegas from California over the weekend leave Las Vegas at the same time that we arrived at Las Vegas. So we were stuck in traffic from Las Vegas all the way to the finish line, and it absolutely killed us. We were tracking to a really good run until we got stuck in that traffic, and there was just absolutely nothing we could do about it. And it was so unfortunate. And yeah, it was very, very upsetting. But honestly, a 45-hour and 12-minute run is really good, even with that break. So the current record is 42 hours and 17 minutes. And I still think that we can beat it. Now, this does include a little bit of driving from the finish line back to this hotel and everything, but 2,913 miles, a whopping 1,041 kilowatt hours consumed with 357 watt hour per mile. Nothing efficient about that trip. So that's the numbers at the end of this trip. That was quite a trip. And I think I figured a few things out. We unfortunately did not adjust our strategy quick enough. We waited too long to adjust the strategy, but we also did a few things really good. We did some things right, and when you finish this, you really start to put everything together, and it's pretty clear what you should do if you were to do it again. And I think that's what we're going to have to do. The 2 records that were placed during the pandemic are the 2 records that are still the number 1 and 2 spot, but I still want that record with or without a pandemic, because a win is a win, and when you lose, you lose. Anyways, thank you so much for joining us. I really hope that you'll join us on our next attempt, and I do hope that we make it happen, because this is something I've been dreaming about for a long time, and it was a pretty awesome feeling giving it a shot. So I hope to see you on the next one.